Peak Wealth Management proudly presents the Trust the Plan podcast with Nick Hopwood and Jim Pilot, where we believe by providing education and guidance, we can help you retire with peak confidence. Now, here are your certified financial planners, Nick and Jim.
Welcome to the Trust the Plan podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Preston. And Nick, we did a podcast episode a couple weeks ago where we were talking about Happy Gilmore's finances, and the much anticipated number 2 came out. So let's hear your review.
Well, the overall review, look, it came out in 95, right, when I was in high school. So in my formative years, I loved it. I've loved Happy. I liked the second movie. Sorry, I loved it. Okay, I loved it. It was fantastic. And I rewatched it a couple times, and it just kept getting more funny, actually. More and more funny. But there is a financial tip here, okay?
Okay.
In the beginning, Happy's explaining how he lost all his money and lost Grandma's house again. And the point was, the guy was trying to repossess the Ferrari, right?
Right.
Happy comes out, punches him in the face, slams his head against the car, right? The guy sues Happy, and Happy loses everything, okay, including Grandma's house. So here's my tip for you. Okay, first of all, if you do assault someone like this, you have to hire a lawyer, okay, to take it from a felony down to a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you're slamming someone's head against the car, it's probably a felony. I'm guessing. I don't know all the rules, but it looked like a felony. But you kind of plea it down to a misdemeanor through having the good lawyer, and then your umbrella policy, like your State Farm umbrella policy, would pay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. So it's your regular homeowners will not protect you from the misdemeanor on your property. Okay, but the umbrella will.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's the one thing I was most interested in when the movie was getting ready to come out. I was like, how are they going to continue this story when he's a pro golfer at the end of the last
making millions of dollars, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we don't know how they got to the point where they're struggling to start with. But if they were here at Peak, we would have definitely, had a different outcome. No question.
Yeah.
Right. So Preston, what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about a slide from the J.P. Morgan Guide to Retirement, which is, this packet, for lack of a better term, they put out with different ideas and concepts you should be thinking of as you are young and getting, starting to save for retirement, and then getting older and preparing. And then once you're in retirement, what should you do then? But there was one really interesting slide that caught our eye, talking about evaluating Roth contributions at different life stages. And so if you're watching the YouTube version of the podcast, we've got it up on the screen behind us. If you're following along on your car ride, you'll just have to listen to me describe it. But the concept here is we've got the different ages on the bottom. So far left is when you're 20 years old, far right is when you're 80. And then on the y-axis, we've got the different annual taxable incomes that you could potentially have over time. And the overall concept of this is, while you're young, you're probably making less than you will when you're, in your prime earning years, 40s, 50s, 60s. And as a result, you should be prioritizing as much money into Roth as you can and just paying the tax today.
Yep, definitely. I agree. When we're young and we're in that 12 to 22% bracket, we want to be maxing out that Roth.
Yep. And then as you get older, again, usually you would start earning more. Maybe you bump up into the higher tax bracket. Now you're 24 or 32 or even higher tax bracket. And so now there's a real argument to be made of, how young are you? What does your portfolio already look like? Now there's an argument about Roth versus pre-tax.
Yeah, if you don't have any 401 or IRA, pre-tax 401 or IRA money, you could, and you're in the high brackets, you could justify starting to put money in to take that write-off.
Right.
And that's the stripes.
Yeah, the shaded little region there in the middle. And then as you're in your maximum earning years, probably in the highest tax bracket you'll ever be in this scenario they're illustrating. You're in the highest tax bracket you'll ever be in. Now let's definitely take the pre-tax write-off, because you'll be able to withdraw the money at a lower tax rate in retirement in their example.
Yeah, so when I think about myself with this, right, it's different. I'm in my high earning years right now, 46, and I'm doing the Roth.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because for like the first 20 some years, I was doing full on pre-tax. And when you do that, when you're young and you do the pre-tax, it grows to be quite a lot over the years. And then when you get into that required minimum distribution phase 30 years from now, if you continued doing this, you'd have an incredible tax bomb that would go off at age 75. And I did the work here, did the projections, and realized that was going to be insane. And so I had to draw the line in the sand.
Right.
I had to do it because even if I didn't add any more money, there was going to be a big bomb that goes off. So for me, we drew the line in the sand, and I'm proactively trying to do conversions if there are opportunities. And the best opportunity is when the market is down. So we haven't had a lot of those. If you were really quick and nimble in April during the tariff tantrum, you could have maybe done a conversion. And we did for some people. But you really got to be quick with the timing.
Yeah. And to your point, bomb is definitely the right word. We see it, fairly often with clients who come to us who are in their 50s and 60s and getting ready to retire, and they've done the right things their whole life. They saved to pre-tax. They did as much as they could into the 401k. They followed every advice everyone ever gave them. And now they're staring down the pipeline of a huge RMD that's going to push them into the 22-24% tax bracket or potentially higher while they're in retirement when the tax bracket's supposed to be low.
Yep. So the next level of discussion here is, right, do your Roth IRA, do your HSA, do your Roth 401k, and then what?
Yeah. So, and then, you can do the taxable brokerage account, which if you contribute enough to it, and, there's kind of two great ways to use it. One would be it's a great tool towards early retirement because retirement accounts you can't touch until you're 59 and a half. So having this taxable brokerage account allows you to, if the situation allows, retire at 55 or something like this. But also, once you retire and you're starting to figure out where to withdraw money from, if you've got this tax bomb looming over your head when RMDs start, you can live on the taxable brokerage account and just do Roth conversions at the lowest tax bracket every year in retirement and try to get as much money out of that pre-tax account as possible. And, there you take away the bomb.
He's talking about number 2 here, proactive Roth conversions in lower income years. Right there. So ideally, that would be between retirement and starting of Social Security, or retirement and age 75, the required minimum distribution start date. Because if you can write it off in the 32 or 37 in your prime earning years, and then pull it out maybe in the 12 or 22, you have done some arbitrage.
Right. Yeah. And the other exception, the number 1 there at the bottom, is exactly what you outlined. If your wealth is concentrated in tax-deferred accounts, then you should do Roth contributions in your peak earning years.
Preston, what's the last point you're thinking about here with this chart?
Yeah, the last thing is, throughout this episode, we've been talking about this tax bomb and, pre-tax accounts cause this tax bomb, but that's not because pre-tax accounts inherently are a bad thing. Like my plan, because I started Roth at an early age in my lower income years, my goal is to have $0 in pre-tax accounts, when I'm 30, 35, 40. And then at that point, I flip the switch the other way because I don't want to pay tax every year that I'm working and then have all tax-free money in retirement because then I lost that arbitrage opportunity. You want to be able to fill up the 12% tax bracket in retirement.
For sure. Yeah, I think for you at your age, if you follow this concept, you can have the lowest possible tax paid. Your lifetime average tax will be as low as possible.
Yeah.
Right? And that's exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they would have had Roth 401ks in 2001 when I started really working meaningful, I would have done it, and instead I can't follow this path.
Right.
So it's a bummer.
Yeah. It's a new path, but, it works in a different way for everyone, right? You're doing the Roth now. So.
That's right. All right, if you guys are thinking about signing up for a Roth 401k, or Roth IRA, or debating whether or not it makes sense, you can reach out to us at peakwm.com.
Peak Wealth Management thanks you for watching and listening to the Trust the Plan podcast, featuring certified financial planners Nick Hopwood and Jim Pilot. If you enjoyed our program, please subscribe and share. If you'd like to learn more about our services, please visit peakwm.com. peakwm.com today. See you next week.